What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some interesting news doing with the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat. Honestly, this news is a little bit old by now, but I thought I would honestly still cover this news anyway, with it currently being reported as well. This is obviously by many sources, so I wouldn't be surprised if you guys heard about this by now, but apparently it's still out there that it could potentially happen, and that is the Chicago Bulls will look to trade a couple of the Miami Heat players in free agency. These players could include Goran Dragic, who has been the sixth man for Miami most of the year, and Derrick Jones Jr. So for those of you who didn't know, Derrick Jones Jr. recently just won the dunk competition, also averaging 24.5 minutes per game, 8.9 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. He's a decent defender at small forward. He's pretty much just average, but he has a really good athleticism. He gets to the paint quickly. He's just, very athletic. While Goran Dragic is known as one of the best six men in the league currently right now, opting to come off the bench. He's played 54 games this season, starting one of them on 28.4 minutes per game with 16.1 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 5.1 assists, shooting 37.7% from three. Now, obviously, I think a couple of these signings would be extremely interesting for the Chicago Bulls. Now, let's put this into perspective. The Chicago Bulls are not doing good at all. Lauri Markkanen looks like he could request a trade, so maybe these two teams could potentially do a sign and trade where they actually trade Lauri Markkanen to the Miami Heat for, obviously, Goran Dragic and potentially Derrick Jones Jr. Then they've got Zach LaVine, who's an absolute jet. This guy, in my opinion, is really good. They got Coby White, who's a nice young asset, who I think might be a little bit of a project player. Will probably come off the bench for the remainder of the season, but could, I reckon, actually eventually start next season. Then they got Otto Porter Jr., who's an inconsistent small forward. Wendell Carter Jr., who's a Tristan Thompson-like center, who is currently injured right now. And they got a couple other players here and there that, most likely won't be on the list in the future. For example, a player like Chris Dunn. Now, Chris Dunn, in my opinion, is actually a decent player. I do like Chris Dunn. So far throughout this season, I think he's been good playing that kind of guard position. Look, 51 games, start of 32, only 7.3 points per game, but he's actually a pretty decent defender. I just think if they were going to try and get, Goran Dragic from the Miami Heat, then they probably would maybe look to stay away from Chris Dunn and maybe not bring him back if he's a free agent. I'm not too sure if he's a free agent or not. If he's not, then they could still potentially look to trade him. Other players include, Chris Dunn and Thomas Satoransky. They could potentially look to trade if they are fully in on Coby White and want to get Goran Dragic. For example, they could rock out a lineup where they do have they have Coby White starting at point guard, and then obviously because we know Coby White doesn't exactly have the biggest tank. I mean, he's played 25.8 minutes per game because he does seem to struggle when it does get to the end of the game. Obviously, he's extremely young. He'll build up that tank, and it looks like he's kind of built it up throughout the season. Goran Dragic can come in and play, 28 minutes. They can both maybe play 27 minutes each per game, and they can maybe even share the backcourt at similar stages. We know Coby White, who's 193, has the height and necessary defense that's there to also play shooting guard. So I could potentially see that happening. Now, with obviously Lauri Markkanen not being the option, it does look like down forward, it looks like he could potentially request a trade because he's not exactly happy. For those of you who haven't seen, I actually made a Lauri Markkanen video recently as well. Hopefully remember to link in the description, or it'll be maybe a end screen video. I'll just search it up on my channel. Pretty much it looks like Lauri Markkanen could potentially request a trade eventually, but also we don't exactly know. But let's just say Lauri Markkanen isn't a long-term solution. They can bring in Derrick Jones Jr., who can play small forward and has been playing a bit of power forward as well with the Miami Heat. There's obviously a lot of problems there with that defensive front court. Let's look at it like this. Wendell Carter Jr., yes, he's a very decent defender, but like Tristan Thompson, he is under height at center position. So, again, at 6'9", I'm pretty sure he's literally like the exact same player as Tristan Thompson. They're both just 6'9", under height centers that can get boards and also put up decent points per game while being pretty decent and consistent defenders. Look, that front court is just going to be very under height. Derrick Jones Jr., yes, he can play power forward, but that's usually only when they've got Myers Leonard or Bam Adebayo playing that center position as well, who can get very nice rebounds and defend that paint. I just don't know if I necessarily like that of him, potentially starting at that power forward position. Although they could bring him in and he could potentially maybe even play small forward if, they don't bring back Otto Porter Jr. Or they could just bring him off the bench like what the Heat are mainly doing and then start him when a player gets injured, which is also the type of situation I could potentially see happening. Now, Derrick Jones Jr. is only 198, so even though he does play power forward sometimes on the Heat, I just don't think I'd like to see that on the Bulls very much at all. But obviously, to get Derrick Jones Jr., they're going to have to offer a pretty long-term deal. Same with Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic is probably going to get a 1-year, $10 million deal potentially from the Miami Heat. Derrick Jones may get a 2-year, $6 million deal from the Miami Heat as well. If they want to get these players, I feel like they're going to have to offer longer years because I feel like these players are going to want some security. I think because Derrick Jones Jr. is only 23 years old, he'll probably want a 3-year deal or something from the Chicago Bulls. For example, it could be 3 years where he gets paid $6 to $8 million per season. Goran Dragic, who's currently 33, could be asking for a 2 to 3 year deal. He may even take a discount just to get that extra season on his belt. So I could obviously potentially see that come, down to it with the Chicago Bulls trying to sign these players. Obviously, again, they've got a lot of point guards. I just don't know if they're long-term solutions. Like Thomas Satoransky, they could potentially look to trade him to a team, that maybe needs that taller point guard / shooting guard mold. Like maybe even the Cleveland Cavaliers could be an interesting option because obviously their guards are still relatively small. But again, I'm not exactly too sure. I'm not that much of a fan of Satoransky, to be honest. But yeah, and then they've also got potentially Chris Dunn, who they could look to trade. It looks like Chris Dunn could be actually maybe even requesting a trade. I'm pretty sure I heard that a bit ago where it wasn't looking exactly that great. They could just both do a mutual trade eventually here and there. And then they could try and get Goran Dragic for a run. Now I think they have enough guards. They really need to try and get that small forward situation done. I think, a perfect player would be a potential player they could get in the draft would be someone like a Jaden McDaniels. But again, who knows what they're going to exactly do there. Jaden McDaniels is still relatively tall, so he may not be able to play that small forward position all the time. May want to play that power forward position too. But yeah, Derrick Jones Jr. I think would be a good addition because Otto Porter Jr. at this point hasn't been that great with him in the Bulls so far this season. He could potentially join a team on like a discount he could join a team that needs some valuable shooting here and there that I think would be pretty interesting. And yeah, again, he's not 100% going to re-sign with the Chicago Bulls. But if we look at their small forwards right now, they've literally got Otto Porter Jr., who has been injured for most of the season. He's only played 14 games throughout this season. They have him and no other small forward. Satoransky is not a good enough defender to play that small forward position. Levine's played small forward most of the year because of the injuries that they have had. And yeah, his defense isn't exactly there, but he's still averaging 26 points per game. And then they've got a project player pretty much in Denzel Valentine, who they might not want to bring back. And then that's it. That's their small forward. So Derrick Jones Jr. would just be a perfect player to get because honestly, yes, he doesn't have that much shooting, but honestly, he could help out with the defense that they drastically need. Otto Porter Jr. could potentially leave. Let's just say Otto Porter Jr. leaves. Then they have not one small forward on the roster. Levine's a shooting guard, and that is a fact. I know he's playing small forward, but that's because they're undermanned. And then Denzel Valentine's a project player they might not even bring back. Let's just say that happens. Then they've got literally zero small forwards on the roster. I think, bringing him in would be a potential good idea, and I think would help out quite a bit. And he would be a cheapish small forward that will most likely start again if they lose Otto Porter Jr. But yeah, if not, I think he will come off the bench, and yeah, most likely will come off the bench anyway. That is Derrick Jones Jr. And then they need to draft a small forward. I don't know what small forwards is necessarily out there in the draft. It's probably the weakest position in the draft from what I know of. But yeah, Jaden McDaniels straight away comes up to my mind. Most of the players in this draft are small forwards / power forwards, or power forwards / centers, or just power forwards, and then there's point guards and shooting guards. There's no small forwards in this draft, and that's what the Chicago Bulls desperately need. So they are going to want to draft, they're going to most likely want to draft a small forward and look to get a small forward in free agency, or they could potentially sign a big name small forward in free agency and then just draft a small forward. One small forward's name that I think would be pretty interesting would actually be DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan would improve their defense. Obviously, wouldn't improve their three-point shooting, but again, I think that's one thing they definitely need is defense, because when you got, yes, Chris Dunn at point guard, decent defender, then you got, you know, maybe Kobe White at shooting guard or something like that. Again, decent defender, but maybe not for the shooting guard position. Then you got Zach LaVine at small forward, and you're like, well, hold up, look at the defense there. That's not great. Wendell Carter Jr. is an undersized center that is, you know, a decent defender when he's playing on smaller players, but like Tristan Thompson struggles against players like JaVale McGee or Anthony Davis. And then their power forward's Lauri Markkanen, who is definitely not a defender at all, not a good defender. So their defense is not exactly that great. So, again, Derrick Jones Jr. will help out their defense with his athleticism. And if they look to try and get DeMar DeRozan, he could help out with their defense. And then Goran Dragic is not exactly known as the best defender, but he's an older player that I think would be able to help out with the defense here and there as well. But yeah, again, two big things that the Chicago Bulls need is a small forward and defense. So, yeah, again, that is something to look out for. And I think Derrick Jones Jr. would be an interesting player to potentially sign. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA content and NBA news. Don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on the Chicago Bulls trying to potentially get Goran Dragic and Derrick Jones Jr., etc. Again, I definitely really like to know. Do you guys think they should try and target DeMar? Again, I'd also really like to know your thoughts and opinions on it all down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel, MLIRL/vlog channel. Links for them will be in the description down below. And go check out my Lauri Markkanen video if you haven't already. Links for them will be in the description down below as well. So, as I was saying, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.